Alright guys, welcome to another edition of the Iowa State Daily Extra Point Kickoff Show. We're here at Jack Trice Stadium. I'm Ryan Young. I'm an assistant sports editor at the Iowa State Daily.
I'm Luke Manderfeld. I'm also the assistant sports editor.
And so fall camp started this week. We've had the first full week after, summer workouts and everything. It was our first real chance to get things started. And, Nigel Tribune made some interesting comments yesterday, didn't he?
Yeah, he spoke about the team's mentality going into last season's games. The team obviously had a rough season, 2 wins. Tribune actually said that some of the players went into the games like thinking they're going to lose and like having that mentality like, it's just another game, we're going to lose. So he said that this year it looks like it shouldn't be a big problem, but that's just kind of concerning to hear from last season.
And that's tough. And you've been watching some of those games, especially at the tail end when things had gone wrong for so long. It's not that surprising, but it seems like they're working to get that fixed. And Rhodes kind of touched on that today too. He had some interesting things to say. You can check that out.
Well, Nigel last night said that there were some players who went into some games last year the mindset that they didn't think they could win. How do you, number one, did you notice that? Number two, how do you change that this year?
Well, I think we've already changed that. I think the attitude is far beyond that with what we've promoted with our culture and what the kids have put together by definition and by action. Their focus is squarely on practice days right now, and we'll certainly get to UNI preparation and game week fast enough. But there's nobody on this football team that has anything remotely close to that kind of attitude right now. I've stated before, and I've openly stated, our football team deteriorated last year, and it was in the form of our culture, and it was in the form of things happening behind the scenes and things happening in the locker room, and they, as kids, have done a great job to clean that up, and certainly I've been there to enforce it.
So one of the highlights for the defense this season, maybe the defensive line. They have some JUCOs jumping on there, and you kind of talked to them this week, and what did they say?
Yeah, I got to talk to Devlin Cousin and Pierre Aka, and they had a pretty interesting story. In the spring, Pierre Aka talked with Rhodes, and they weren't really sure where to put him. They liked what they were seeing, but it just wasn't really consistent enough for him. So they thought about moving him to the other side of the ball, and Aka kind of actually took that as, a slap to the face almost. He wasn't happy about it, and he took that as then motivation, and he kind of turned it around, and now he's at the top of the depth chart for the defensive ends. So he took a really big jump.
Paul's been telling us, he started at Media Day and he started it today, about the conversation you guys had during the off season. You're smiling now. What rolls through your head when he tells you, hey, we're contemplating moving you to the O-line?
As a D lineman, usually when you hear that, that's more of a demotion than anything. I think that was kind of a wake-up call. It's kind of his way of telling me, hey, get your stuff right. If you don't, then we'll figure out where to use you. I think his message was more of you have the talent to be a football player, but maybe we need to put you somewhere else where you can try that or whatnot. That was kind of the talk. At the moment, I didn't really see it as anything good. Like I'll tell you, I didn't say much. It was yes, and kind of walked out on my own and whatnot, but that was kind of what it was.
Defensive tackle is not a position you hear a lot of kids saying that's going to play when they grow up, but yet you wanted to fight this other. What is it that you liked about the defensive line?
To be honest, it's the freedom of just every play, just going out there and just going all out. Chasing the ball down, all that stuff. Just kind of letting loose. And at the same time, also you kind of get. There's something about coming up that line and seeing the quarterback standing there helpless. Getting a chance to go after him and all that stuff. So that's always a great feeling. And then again, like I said, getting that sack and all that stuff, it's always fun. Hitting somebody every play, getting up the ball, going after the ball and everything. So.
Another guy to look for on the defensive line is JUCO transfer Damon Tucker, redshirt junior from Mississippi, a 3-star recruit. He's going to be a big impact on the defensive line that has kind of struggled in last year's season, allowing all those rushing yards, but it should be a welcome sight.
Yeah, he did. And touching on the rushing thing, the defense wasn't very good at stopping the run last year. That was probably their biggest weakness overall, I would say. And that's been their focus over fall camp. They've worked on really tightening things, being more consistent. And, during the defensive drills, they say that they have to rush to the ball every single time, even after the play's dead. So they're really working on fixing that. And defensive end Devlin Cousin had some interesting things to say about how they're kind of taking care of the ball and stopping that run defense.
How much trouble you guys have had stopping the run? Does that kind of add a chip on your guys' shoulder, I guess?
A little bit. That's been our weak point the past few years, but all that's going to change this year.
How come?
The way Coach Eggins is coaching us to be more physical at the point of attack, to drive through the old linemen. Our technique is a lot different, and our mentality going into camp is a lot better.
What's the change in technique?
Versus what we did last year, we were shooting gaps and playing off of people's edges. This year, we're running straight through people. So it's going to be man-to-man. Whoever most physical, that's who wins.
You like it?
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, and so the secondary, it's actually one of the stronger positions for this defense. And I think that kind of starts with their safeties with Kamari Cotton-Moya, who is going to be a sophomore, but he's actually kind of turned into a leader on his team, surprisingly.
Yeah, he has, and he actually helped out his fellow teammate Quajon Floyd, the strong safety on the pre-fall camp depth chart. Floyd said that Cotton Moya actually helped him become. Floyd used to be a free safety, so Cotton Moya helped him transition to the strong safety and like what comes along with that. And Cotton Moya is only a sophomore, and he was the freshman player, the Big 12 freshman defensive player of the year last season. So. He said he's putting that all in the past, though, and he wants to just keep looking to the future.
Yeah, definitely. And, he had that health scare in the spring where after practice he got banged up and he actually had to go to the hospital for a concussion, I believe it was. But, fans are a little worried maybe he's trigger shy, but he says it's all behind him. He feels perfectly fine, and, he's totally confident, ready to go.
Now into the cornerback side of the defense, it's going to be Sam B. Richardson and Naj Tribune. Tribune said that, the defensive coaches have said that the secondary in specific need to stop allowing so many big plays, big yardage plays. As you remember against like TCU and Baylor, there were so many like 70-yard passing plays that ultimately led to their losses. So what they're doing is they're giving out a ball each fall camp practice to the best defensive player that day in terms of statistics. So like pass breakups, strips, fumble recovery, stuff like that. And Quajon Floyd, who we mentioned earlier, the strong safety, is actually the only player that has won it twice. So it's kind of becoming a big thing in the locker room and sparked some debates that as defensive passing game coordinator Maurice Lindquist said it's bigger than Donald Trump on the Republican debate stage, which is a pretty funny comment he said. So yeah, it's just something that the team is trying to do, like you said about Paul Rhodes trying to get the chemistry, stuff like that. It's something the defense is trying to do to get the chemistry together and just kind of create competition and increase that level of play in terms of turnovers. And it is kind of a big deal because Iowa State last season was 122nd in the NCAA in passing yards allowed. So this is just how they're going to try to limit that this season.
Yeah, I think this could work out pretty well for them. So here's what some of the players have to say about the competition. It seems like they've loved it so far.
Sounds like the football is almost like a heavyweight title bout, at least.
To those guys, it is. It's a pride. It's a pride thing. When you're trying to change or renew a culture of guys, it's important. Who cares if the coach? It matters to us. It's got to matter to them, right? It's got to matter to the kids, and the kids are getting excited about it. Which gets us more excited about it, which gets those kids more excited about it, and it's a good thing to see. So that's one element of defensive football, taking it away. But at the same time, we got to be sound. We got to be fundamentally sound. We got to, contain the ball when we're supposed to. We got to tackle, make plays. We got to run, and we got to make the right checks. And I feel like we're doing those things. And aside from the football part, the kids are enjoying each other. There's no other better element than competition. You can teach, you can coach, you can do all kind of things, but at the end of the day, competition, and these guys in the locker room, they're competitors. When a guy competes, and if you got anything in you, you're going to step up. You're going to step up. You're going to watch that extra film. You're going to limit your mistakes. You're going to get that extra time in the weight room. You're going to take care of your body. You're going to eat right. You're going to sleep right. You're going to do everything you can to try to get that edge. And a lot of times, a coach can go in there and say those kind of things, but when you're down there in the locker room and you're putting on your pants next to the guy, hey, I better come to work today. So we said, let's try to have an emphasis of trying to create a culture of pursuit, a culture of trying to be disruptive on the football, a culture of guys, really swarming and punishing the ball carrier, and not just get there and yanking that ball out. And the guys are trying to buy into that system right now. So we're trying to make that an emphasis, along with being a disciplined defense, along with lining correctly, along with doing all the things that we know we have to do. But what are we, trying to hang our hat on? What are we going to be known as for this 2015 season? Your identity is what others think of you. And we want to identify ourselves as a defense that can run, hit, line up correctly. We're disciplined, and we can get that football out when we need it. I think the kids have been enjoying it, and they know. I think they're appreciating. Hey, we got something to hang our hat on. We got our hats on, and we got something to focus on. I can come in through and say, well, you got to get better at your eyes, your feet, your hands, your technique, your this. And you walk on the practice field, and you really get nothing accomplished. But maybe if I give you one or two things, and focus on those one or two things, I can give you something to make sure we can get some gains on.
Is it just for secondary guys, or
no,
anybody on defense?
Anybody on defense. Anybody that's out there, if you put that helmet on and you put that chin strap on, we're going to track the reps, and we're going to track and see, what are you doing? What are you doing with those reps?
Does it create some debates like
oh my goodness, are you kidding me? I saw you. If you saw Donald Trump and those guys, it was nothing. All right, I mean, we got. I told those guys, this was straight out of New York. Okay, this came from the commissioner's office because they'll tell you, Coach, I had 3 right here, and they'll tell you to play, and I had 1 the other day. So I mean, it's heated now because they want to win it, man. So it's a fun deal, but at the same time, it's a serious deal. And the good thing is they're drinking the punch and they're buying into what we're doing.
Okay, so that's it for us today. The Cyclones will open up the season on September 5th against UNI here in just a couple weeks. Should be a pretty good game. So until then, you can follow us on Twitter, and you can keep up with Iowa State Daily for all of your Iowa State sports needs.